Hey guys, hope you had an amazing week. And with this video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, so let me know what you think down in the comments. It's going to be kind of a mix-up between a few of the sharpenings that I did this week, so stay tuned. Alrighty, so this is a fun one. I went and drove out to their house, and they had an entire kitchen block of Wustov knives and a few other little ones. But just going to start with a 20 and see what I feel about it. Most of the time I'll start with a 20 just to see, okay, what we're looking at and that kind of stuff. Unless it's, okay, like a high-end Japanese knife or something along those lines. I know instantaneously with those, I'll want to go down to like a 15 or even shallower. But for the most part, I'll start with a 20 and then see if I need to adjust. So you see me just going past. These were pretty dull when I started with them. So that is currently the 60 grit belt, 60 or 80, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure it's the 80. But now I'm going to start carrying the 36 with me because later in the video you see that I had another knife that I started with the 36. It takes a little bit longer in the finishing process, but at the same time, it takes a lot of that work out in the very beginning and also allows it so it doesn't heat up. Because the problem that you have to worry about with doing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth like that is you have to be conscientious of if that blade is warming up. That's also part of the reason why my other hand is towards the tip of the blade, is because then I can feel if there's any heat going into the blade, which luckily I grind in a way that I put very light pressure, so I don't have to worry about too much heat. I still make sure to feel though, because I don't want to temper a blade. It's easier to go slow and light than to take off too much material and temper the blade and possibly destroy it. So that's me just keeping safe. I know it's not necessarily something that everybody does, but at the same time, it's how I do it and I've had good luck with it. So until something new comes better for me, I'll keep doing it this way. Alrighty, finished up with them. They were ecstatic about how sharp they were. Now we're on to the second one. This is a gentleman that works with a buddy of mine, and he works in a warehouse. So, naturally cutting a lot of cardboard, all that kind of stuff. So, we're going to set that up and get it ready, and we'll pop down and show you what's going on. Alrighty, so I'm going to give this guy a sharpen. It's dull. Like, I can run my thumb over it, pretty dull. The backside, not too bad, but get it nice and sharp. Get it usable again. Alrighty, so starting off with this guy, I'm going to do a few passes and then take a look. Because I noticed that there's some pretty good chips in the blade. So, adjusting for that, I'm going to flip the machine around. And then, ever so slightly, I cannot emphasize how lightly touching those nicks to the belt, just to remove them. It's a really, really quick process, but for me has worked the best. I know some people will just do back and forth motion. If it works for you, do it. This is what works for me, so that's how I keep doing it. Alrighty, and we're going to switch out the belt because I was using the 80 grit. So we bumped down to the 36 grit. So this is just for some material removal and getting it so that we're re-apexed. So just a little bit of back, forth, and takes a little bit of time, but at the same time we're also increasing the angle ever so slightly. Like I said, warehouse knife doesn't need to be a scalpel edge, but at the same time I'm going to make it a sharp edge. So just keep going back and forth until I notice that, okay, it's raising the burr the entire length, and I'll get back to you. Alrighty, so you can see I go in a cadence of 3, which is basically I just do 3 passes per side. Depending on the day, it can be more, it can be less, but for the most part, it's been 3. It's kind of been my sweet number. But I do that so I'm not doing 1 pass per side and then going back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Take a lot more time. Just make sure if you do something like this, that you're taking metal evenly. You don't want to take metal all from one side, or else you'll have a chisel edge, which, I mean, works, but at the same time, I don't think it's what you're going for. Alright, now that we've progressed to the 120 grit, I'm just going to do a few passes on each side. Typically, I'll start with about 4 and see, okay, what the scratch pattern looks like. Because a 36 grit scratch pattern is pretty toothy, which in some cases is great. For a pocket knife, wouldn't be my first choice though. So I go through the 120, pop on the 220, because I was liking the scratch pattern, but I also wanted to progress a little bit further. So still the toothy edge, but cleaned up just a little bit. So quite a bit cleaner once I was done. And then after this, I'll just touch it up with the strap. And on the strap, I've been starting to use a white buffing compound. Came with the stropping belt. Originally, I would use a green chromium oxide, which I used to swear by. Now, I've changed my mind, which that's kind of the nice thing about this is there's always new things to learn. So for me now, that white buffing compound is my go-to, and you'll see why. That should do. Completely different than what it was. So much better. So much better. Now for a little tune, so just a little adjustment. You can see how much play that blade has, but we're going to clean this up a little further. And get cleaned up. Put the belts back where they need to go. We'll probably throw some Loctite too on that. Get it nice and adjusted. This is one thing that so gets overlooked, is just the adjustment of the screws to make sure that, okay, your blade doesn't really have that much pivot. A lot of people really enjoy, like, just being able to whip out a knife and that kind of stuff. It should be a really fine balance between, okay, it being structurally sound and being able to flick it out decently. Like, all my pocket knives are tuned to the point where they'll come out with a little bit of a flick, but are solid as far as left-right play. They will not go left-right, or at least have the most minimal amount possible. So let's get this adjusted. Okay. Oh God, yeah, no, that was severely, severely loose. It's still loose. I do admit I do like this action on it though. So that's good. So now we'll take it out a little bit. Okay. And now there's like zero play. Still needs to be a little bit fine-tuned, but at the same time, definitely a lot better. I like the action on this though. It's really smooth. I don't think it uses ball bearings, but at the same time, that is, I'm very okay with how smooth that is, the action on that. Most of the time when you really tighten down on a blade, the action gets really gummy and just like really locks it up. This is still like, even though it's hard to get the blade out, it's still very smooth actuating the blade. That's really nice. I like that. I have to pick one of these up. Interesting little design. I mean, nice that it has the ruler in it, and then bits. He said there was a bit driver on it, but that broke off, which is is what it is, but kind of a unique knife. Hope you enjoyed that. Now on to the next project. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with cleaning it up. You can see there's a little bit of a patina there, some mild rust, but I really want to bring, there's nice little brass inlays in here. I want to make those shine. So WD-40 and some steel wool. Just really bring that out. Make it pop a little bit too. But this will take a little bit, so I'll probably just have it go on a little bit speed up. And you can see on that back side, that's what I'm trying to get off. There's a pretty good layer of just surface rust, but comes out pretty nice. And I really am liking this Damascus. It almost looks like a raindrop Damascus, but not 100% sure. Looks really good though. But that blade, you can see somebody used a pull-through sharpener on this thing. Like, you can absolutely see just how beaten that edge is. So we're going to fix that up here pretty shortly. But we'll keep working with WD-40. Get it all nice and clean, and then we'll go from there. This is more of a resto mod. The gentleman I'm doing this knife for said that he's going to have this as a nice little wall piece. So I'm just trying to make it look presentable, make it look nice, and like something that you'd want on the wall. For some reason, that brass is wanting to stay tarnished, though. Still a little bit more, but at the same time, we're getting there, slowly but surely. And take a before and after of this side. Alrighty, now on to the sharpening. I didn't want to bore you too much with the cleanup process, but at the same time, if you guys want to see more of those kind of cleanups, let me know. So, now that I've got that, I noticed, as I said, the edge was done with pull-through. Which, used properly, pull-throughs are decent. I say that very hesitantly because I hate them with a passion. But if that's all you have and that's all you can use, hey, give it a shot. Or try and find somebody like me. Because if you use them improperly, they can cause a lot of damage, like I'm just pointing to right now. So it's typically when you pull through a sharpener and put a lot of pressure on the blade or the sharpener. So it's pulling that material away. And it's very easy to see the scratch pattern when somebody uses a pull-through sharpener. And unless they're just doing really, really, really light passes and stuff like that, it really can do a lot of damage to a blade. It's the reason why I don't like them. If you have to use one, I'd say find one that has the ceramic, because the ceramic is more like a 2000 grit, and it's not ripping material off. So, still not my favorite, but at the same time, if you want a pull-through sharpener, find one with ceramic. And as you can see, those pull-through sharpeners just make it so much more time to re-profile the edge, because they're so inconsistent, they pull weird, it can be all different pressures, like if it catches a nick in your blade, it's going to start hollowing it out right there. I just don't care for them. Thankfully, if you're one of those people, like in this case, a lot of the damage can be fixed if you have something along those lines. Like this was borderline, those 3 nicks in the blade were starting to become like serrations with how much that pull-through sharpener had just done damage. But nonetheless, got it cleaned up, got those nicks removed to the point where, okay, it was one consistent edge from heel to tip of the knife. Is it ever going to end? Well, luckily, I'm going to be progressing to the 120 grit here pretty quickly. But that's just to show you, that's how long it can take to get some nicks out, depending on the level of damage. But now we're on to the 120. So, for this knife, I'm going to be doing something a little fun. So, I'm doing a 120 grit stropped finish, which a lot of you might go, holy crap, that's a really low grit finish, which I would agree with you on. But for this blade, the contrast was just so nice of having that light shine off the toothy edge mixed with the semi-dull finish of the Damascus. It looked so good. Like, that's the only reason why I finished with the 120. But at the same time, is it really a 120 grit finish when you take a strop with 8000 grit compound on it? Because that's what I do in most cases, is even if I'm ending in a 120 grit, or even in some cases 36 grit if I'm doing like a splitting mull or something like that, I'm still going to go over it with the strop, just to make that edge slightly refined. So, is it really a 120 grit at that point? You tell me.
So I think what we're going to do, we're going to take the little sharpener out and polish it. See what it does now.
Now, something I make comment about here very shortly is I'm skeptical of blade geometry. And what I'm meaning is the primary bevel is pretty steep and it's a pretty thick blade, so cutting is interesting. Just by the edge. Let's see what it does. I doubtful just because of the geometry, but ah, shit. Go all the way down just for shit and giggles. And it cuts it just as smooth. Damn. I'm okay with that. It's a pretty good finish. Looks a whole lot better than what it came in originally too. I really like that. It's nice. Now to do some more repair, because I've got, you can see, focus right there. It's a little chip out of the handle, and then at the very back, there's some little pitting. Focus, maybe focus. Whenever it wants to focus, that would be convenient. Oh, you probably just have to take my word for that one, but there's a pretty good amount of pitting back there, so I just want to seal it off from the elements, make it so that it doesn't get nasty. So that'll wrap things up for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure to like and share, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. I'm going to do a video every week. Take care.